Good morning, student. Welcome here in your social science class. Student, today we will revise our chapter number 4 from your history, the Mughal Empire. In this video lecture, student, I am going to again revise important topics of this chapter. Now let's come here. Ruling as large a territory as the Indian subcontinent with such a diversity of people and culture was an extremely difficult task for any ruler to accomplish in the Middle Ages. As you all of you know about if we talk about the Indian subcontinent, okay, Indian subcontinent generally includes Bangladesh. That time, yes, it generally includes Bangladesh, okay, even Bhutan also, even India, yes, then Nepal, then Pakistan, then which one? Yes, Sri Lanka also, and then Afghanistan. Okay, so Indian subcontinent generally includes so many things, okay, just like other countries also. So it is very difficult, okay, to, as you can see, diversity of people also, okay, culture also. So it was an extremely difficult task for any ruler to accomplish in the middle age. किसी रूलर के लिए बहुत डिफिकल्ट टास्क था कि पूरे इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट में अपना कब्जा जमाना. सो द मुगल, yes, so if you talk about the Mughal Empire was established in India during 16th and 19th century. When? Yes, the Mughal Empire was established in India during 16th and 17th century. So Mughal created an empire and accomplished what had but only possible for short period of time. मुगल ने अपना साम्राज्य तो किया इंडियन सबकॉन्टिनेंट में, but only for what? Yes, only for a short period. From the later half of the 16th century, they expanded their kingdom from Agra to Delhi. From where? Yes, from Agra to Delhi. But until, yes, in the 17th century, they control near all of the subcontinent. Okay. Even they imposed of structure of administration and ideas of governance that outlasted their rule. So leaving a political legacy that succeeding rulers of the subcontinent could not ignore. How it could not ignore? Just can just look at here, as you can see here the picture, Red Fort. So today, at present, even the Prime Minister. So today, the Prime Minister of India addresses the nation of Independence Day from the rampart of the Red Fort in the Delhi, and that time it was the residence of the Mughal Emperor. Got it? Yes. So PM addressed Independence Day speech also from Red Fort, and it was that time residence of the Mughal Empire. Student, now let's come here. We will talk about who were the Mughals. Okay, so who were the Mughals? The Mughals were descendants of two lineage of rulers. Here the word comes descendants. So just look at the meaning of the descendants. It means, student, a person or from a particular ancestor. Okay, just take an example like this, just like I'm talking about you, a person who is related to you and who lives after you, such as your child or your grandchild. Okay, so the Mughal were descendants of two great lineage of the ruler. First we talk about the mother. Okay, so from their mother side they were descendants of Genghis Khan, who died in 1227. When? Yes, who died in 1227. And Genghis Khan, okay, Genghis Khan was the ruler of the Mongol tribes. Okay, but yes, who was Genghis Khan? So Genghis Khan was the ruler of the Mongol tribes, China and Central Asia. Now let's come here, student. If we talk about the father, from their father side they were the successor of Taimur. Okay, who? Yes, Taimur, and who died in 1404. Okay, so the Taimur here, the ruler of the Iran, Iraq, and if you talk about the modern day, it is Turkey. Okay, so one question, however, the Mughal did not like to be called Mughal or Mongol. Okay, they did not like to call themselves to Mughal or Mongol. Why? Yes, because of Genghis Khan. Yes, if we talk about the Genghis Khan, this was because Genghis Khan memory was associated with the massacre of innumerable people. Actually that time na Genghis Khan killed thousands of people. So that's why he did not. Yes, Mongols did not like to be called Mughal or Mongol. So why? Yes, because Genghis Khan's memory was associated with the massacre of innumerable people, and it was also linked with the Uzbeks. Okay, linked what? Whom? Yes, Uzbeks, their Mongol competitors. Who? उनके जो competitors थे. So on the other hand, the Mongol were proud of their Timurid एंसेस्ट्री. मतलब उनको पसंद था कि उन्हें टाइमरूड एंसेस्ट्री, उनके वंशज, not least of all because their great ancestor had captured Delhi in 1398. Okay, they celebrated their genealogy pictorially. Okay, अपनी genealogy थे जो pictorially के हिसाब से वो many times celebrate करते थे. Each ruler getting a picture made of Timur and himself. Okay, so for this just take a look at figure here, which is somewhat like a group photograph. Here as you can see in this picture. Okay, a miniature painting. Here as you can see in this picture, a miniature painting dated 1700 to 1712. You must know about the miniature painting. Miniature means small painting. काफी छोटी छोटी paintings बनती है बेटा. Miniature painting dated 1702 to 1717 of Timur, his descendants and the Mongol emperors. Timur is in the center, as you can see here. So Timur is in the center, and on his right his son, who? Yes, Miran Shah, the first Mughal emperor, Babur's great grandfather. Okay, first we talk about the right side here. So Timur is the center, and his right side his son Miran Shah, the first Mughal emperor, Babur, great grandfather, and then Abu Sa'd, Babur's grandfather. Then to the left of the Timur, if we talk about the left here, okay, so to the left of the Timur are Sultan Muhammad Mirza, Babur's great grandfather, and Umar Sheikh, Babur's father, the Mughal emperor Babur, and the Akbar and Shah Jahan, and the third and fourth and fifth individual on the Timur right, and on his left in the same order are Humayun, Jahangir and Aurangzeb. Got it? So according to this, they celebrate their genealogy pictorially. Picture के छोटी छोटी miniature painting, each ruler getting a picture made of Timur and himself. After this, student, we will talk about the Mughal military campaign. Okay, if we talk about the Mughal military campaign, so first we will talk about the Babur. Who? Babur. So Babur, the first Mughal emperor, when 1526 to 1530. So Babur, the first Mughal emperor, and from when to when reign? Yes, 1526 to 1530, 4 years, succeeded to the throne of the Farangana in 1494. Okay, where? Yes, Fargana, and when? In 1494. When he was only 12 years old. जब वो सिर्फ 12 years old के थे, so जब बाबर सिर्फ 12 years old के थे, he was forced to leave his ancestral throne due to the invention of another Mongol group. जो another Mongol group थे, the Uzbek. Okay, उन्होंने उनको force किया, you have to leave. तो उन्होंने force करके जब 12 years के बाबर थे, उन्होंने leave कर दिया. And from whom? Yes, Uzbek. So after years of wandering, he seized Kabul a lot. बाद में जो बाबर थे, he seized where? He seized Kabul in 1504. Okay, and then in 1526, which year? In 1526, he defeated the Sultan of Delhi. Who? Yes, Babur defeated the Sultan of Delhi, Ibrahim Lodi. उस टाइम जो Sultan of Delhi थे 1526 में, तो बाबर ने उन्हें डिफीट किया, इब्राहिम लोदी, एट पानीपत एंड कैप्चर्ड दिल्ली एंड आगरा. सो बैटल ऑफ पानीपत फर्स्ट. हु डिफीटेड whom? Yes, Babur defeated whom? Ibrahim Lodi. When? In 1526, and at last where? At Panipat, and captured, yes, captured Delhi and Agra. Now student, just look at here list of Mughal emperors. Okay, here as you can find, first of all Babur. Okay, after Babur who came? Humayun. Okay, so after Humayun who? Akbar. Then after Akbar who came? Jahangir. Then after Jahangir, Shahjahan, and then Aurangzeb. Okay, you can say that family tree also, family tree of Mughal emperors. So if we talk about the Babur, so Babur from 1526 to 1530. From when to when? Babur 1526 to 1530. Then Humayun 1530 to 1540. Then after 1555 to 1556. Okay, then what about the Akbar? Yes, 1556 to 1605. Student, right now though I am only explaining the year from when to when, but after this I will explain it very deeply about the all things. Okay, then let's come here. Jahangir 1605 to 1627. Then after Jahangir who? Yes, Shahjahan. So if you talk about the Shahjahan, 1627 to 1658. After Shahjahan who? Aurangzeb. So what about the Aurangzeb? Yes, the time period was, the reign of Aurangzeb was 1658 to 1707. Now let's come here about the Babur. Okay, so just look at the picture also here, Babur, as you can see. Okay, fine. So let's talk about the Babur. So Babur 1526 to 1530. So if we talk about the 1526, okay, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi. Who? Yes, Babur defeated Ibrahim Lodi and his Afghan supporters at Panipat. So that is why Panipat, Battle of Panipat first. Then after the Battle of Panipat, if we talk about the 1527, then Babur defeated Rana Sanga. Okay, Rana Sanga, yes, Rajput ruler and his allies at Khanau. Okay, where? Yes. So Babur defeated Rana Sanga also, Rajput ruler and allies at Khanau. Then after this, Babur in 1528, if we talk about the 1528, so defeated the Rajput at Chanderi. Who? Yes, at Chanderi we talk about defeated the Rajput and established control over Agra and Delhi before his death. Okay, yes, before his death. So these are the important days, beta, you must know about it. Now let's come here. Humayun. So here we will talk about the Humayun. Here as you can see the picture also of Humayun here. Okay, so student, now here we will talk about the Humayun. So Humayun divided his inheritance according to the will of his father. Okay, उनके father ने जो will की थी उसके according his brother were each give up prominence. The ambitions of his brother Mirza Kamran. Who? His brother? Yes, Mirza Kamran. So his brother were each given a prominence. So the ambition of his brother Mirza Kamran weakened Humayun's cause against Afghan competitors. So if we talk about the Sher Khan, so Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Chausa. Who? Yes, so now you must know about the Sher Khan. So Sher Khan ने defeat किया था whom? To Humayun. So Sher Khan defeated Humayun at Chausa and when in 1539. So and Kannauj also 1540. Okay, and forcing him to flee to Iran. But in Iran, Humayun received someone's help also. So in Iran, Humayun received help from the Safavid Shah. So that time Safavid Shah ने क्या किया कि हुमायूं की जो है हेल्प की, ओके, ईरान में. एंड देन अगेन हुमायूं रिकैप्चर दिल्ली इन 1555. ओके तो इस वजह से बिकॉज ऑफ द हेल्प ऑफ द सफावी शाह इन ईरान, सो दैट्स वाई हुमायूं recaptured Delhi in 1555 but died the next year after an accident in this building. But due to accident, okay, due to which thing? Yes, due to the accident in this building, so he died. Who? Yes, Humayun died in 1556. So after Humayun, now let's come here about the Akbar. Yes, so you must know about the Akbar, as you can see here. So first we talk about the Akbar. Here Akbar reign. Akbar time period was 1556 to 1605. When to when? 1556 to 1605. So student, now let's talk about the Akbar. So if we talk about the Akbar reign, it was 1556 to 1605. You know, Akbar was only 13 years old. Yes, you will be very surprised to know that when at the age of 13 years old, he became the emperor. His rule can be divided into 3 periods. How many periods? Okay, 3 periods. First, second and third. Now let's talk about the first period. It was from 1556 to 1570. When to when? 1556 to 1570. Then Akbar became independent of the regent Bairam Khan and other members of his domestic staff. Okay, and some military campaigns were launched against the Suris and other Afghans, against the neighboring kingdoms of the Malwa and Gondwana, and to suppress the revolt of his half-brother Mirza Hakim and the Uzbeks. Again, whom to whom some of the military campaigns were launched that time? Yes, against the Suris, some other Afghans. Okay, after this whom? After against the neighboring kingdoms of Malwa and Gondwana also. Okay, student. Then what about in 1568? If we talk about the 1568, the Sisodia capital of Chittor, which, yes, it was seized. Which was seized that time? Yes, Sisodia capital of Chittor was seized, and in 1569, when? Yes, in 1569, which one? Yes, Ranthambore. Okay, got it? Now let's come here. We will talk about the 1570 to 1585. The second one. Again, the military campaigns in Gujarat were followed by the campaigns in the east in the Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. If we talk about the other states also, just like Bihar, just like Bengal and just like Odisha, some of the military campaigns in Gujarat were followed by. Okay, whom? Yes, campaign in the east in Bihar, Bengal and Odisha. These campaigns were complicated by the 1579 to 1580. At which year? If you talk about the year 1579 to 1580, revolt in support of Mirza Hakim. Okay, now let's come here. Look at the third one. If we talk about 1585 to 1605, expansions of Akbar Empire. Yes, that time उनका बहुत ज़्यादा expansion होना start हो गया. Okay, campaigns were launched in the northwest. अब उन्होंने कहाँ करना start किया बेटा? अब उन्होंने start किया northwest में भी. Okay, Kandahar was seized from the Safavids. Wissing from the Safavids. Safavid ने कौन सा seize कर दिया? Kandahar. Okay, so Kandahar was seized from the Safavid. Kashmir was annexed as also Kabul after the death of Mirza Hakim. Even Kabul also after the death of whom? After the death of Mirza Hakim. कि मिर्ज़ा हाकिम की डेथ के बाद जो था काबुल भी जो है सीज कर दिया गया, उस पर कब्जा जमा लिया गया. Okay, campaigns in the descent started and Berar. Then Khandesh and parts of Ahmednagar were annexed. In the last year of his reign, if you talk about the Akbar, okay, so in the last year of his reign, Akbar was distracted by the rebellion of Prince Salim. वो distract हुए by whom? Yes, rebellion जो किया था of Prince Salim, the future emperor Jahangir. So Prince Salim, but it is known as the Emperor Jahangir. Got it? Now let's come here, student. We will talk about the reign and time was, what was the time period of Jahangir. Now look at the picture also here. Got it? Now let's come here. We will talk about the Jahangir. So Jahangir, the time period was 1605 to 1627. What was the time period of Jahangir? As you can see here, the time period of Jahangir was 1605 to 1627. Okay. Again, some of the military campaign launch, okay, started by Akbar continue. जो military campaign start किए थे अकबर ने, वो जहांगीर ने continue करे. The सिसोदिया ruler of मेवाड़ अमर सिंह accepted मुगल सर्विस. जो सिसोदिया ruler थे कहाँ के, जैसे मेवाड़ के जो थे अमर सिंह, उन्होंने accept किया मुगल सर्विस. Less successful campaign against the Sikhs, the Ahoms and Ahmednagar followed. Which is one less successful campaign जो against हुए? सिख थे, जो अहोम थे, वहाँ लेस सक्सेसफुल हुए. जो कैंपेन, जो मिलिट्री कैंपेन्स लॉन्च किए थे, जो उन्होंने कंटिन्यू किए थे जहांगीर ने अकबर के. ठीक है. इवन प्रिंस खुर्रम, द फ्यूचर एम्परर शाहजहां, अनदर नेम ऑफ शाहजहां, यस, प्रिंस खुर्रम. Okay, rebelled in the last year of his reign. Okay, who started? Prince Khurram. It means Shahjahan started rebellion against at last year of his reign. जहांगीर के लास्ट ईयर में जो प्रिंस खुर्रम थे, शाहजहां थे, उन्होंने रेबिलियन करना स्टार्ट कर दिया. द एफर्ट ऑफ नूर जहां, इट मीन्स हु वॉज नूर जहां? यस, जहांगीर्स वाइफ. टू मार्जिनलाइज हिम वर अनसक्सेसफुल. गॉट इट? After this, student, we will talk about the whom. Yes, Shahjahan. As well, if you know about the Shahjahan, yes, Prince Khurram. Okay, so let's talk about the time period. Okay, 1627 to 1658. When? 1627 to 1658. Okay, so Mughal campaigns continue in the Deccan under Shahjahan. जो Mughal campaign start हुए, जो in the where? In the Deccan under whom? Under the reign of Shahjahan. The Afghan noble Khan. You must know about the Afghan noble Khan, student. The Afghan noble Khan Jahan Lodi rebelled and was defeated. Who was defeated? Yes, the Afghan noble Khan Jahan Lodi rebelled and was defeated. Some campaigns was also launched against Ahmednagar, the Bundels. Okay, if we talk about the Bundels were defeated and Aurangzeb seized. अब क्या हुआ? ठीक है, रिबेल करा किसने? अफगान जो नोबल खान थे, जहां लोदी, बट वो डिफीट हो गए शाहजहां के टाइम पे. उसके बाद जो बुंदेल्स थे, बुंदेल्स ने भी बेटा डिफीटेड हुए और उनका जो एरिया था औरक्का, वो सीज कर लिया गया. ओके, इन द नॉर्थ वेस्ट द कैंपेन टू सीज बलक फ्रॉम द उज़्बेक. ओके, जो और एरिया था जो किसके पास था? उज़्बेक्स, वॉज अनसक्सेसफुल एंड कंधार वॉज लॉस्ट टू द सफाविद्स. कंधार जो है लॉस्ट हो गया. फॉर whom? Yes, सफाविद. Said if we talk about the year 1632. So in 1632, Ahmednagar was finally annexed and the Bijapur force sued for peace. Okay, then in 1657 to 1658, which year? 1657 to 1658, there was conflict over succession among शाहजहां सन. लड़ाई होना स्टार्ट हो गई जो शाहजहां के सन थे उनके बीच में. ओके, औरंगजेब वॉज विक्टोरियस एंड हिज 3 ब्रदर्स. तो हु वॉज द विक्टोरियस? किसने वॉन करी उस टाइम की लड़ाई जो शाहजहां के सन्स के बीच में हो रही थी? औरंगजेब. सो स्टूडेंट, गॉट इट? औरंगजेब killed his 3 brothers, okay, including Dara Singh also. So Dara Singh and other 2 brothers were killed by whom? Were killed by the Aurangzeb. Then after this, Shahjahan was imprisoned for the rest of his life in the Agra. औरंगजेब ने अपने फादर को, औरंगजेब के जो फादर थे शाहजहां, उनको ही जेल में कर दिया for rest of the life, where in Agra. Got it? Now student, we will talk about the Aurangzeb. Yes, Aurangzeb. So now let's come here. If we talk about the Aurangzeb, first we will talk about the reign. What was the time period? It's 1658 to 1707. Which one? Yes, 1658 to 1707. So in the northeast, which part? Yes, in the northeast. Okay, Ahoms were defeated in 1663. Who were defeated? Ahoms were defeated, and in which year? 1663. But rebelled again in the 1680s. But उन्होंने again, okay, but they again rebelled 1680s में. डिफीट होने के बाद भी उन्होंने again rebel, again start किया. Campaign in the northwest against the Yusuf Sai and the Sikhs were temporarily successful. Okay, which campaigns and where? Yes, campaigns where in northwest against whom? Against the Yusuf Sai and the Sikhs were temporarily successful. Even Mughal intervention in the succession and internal policies of the Rathore, Rajput or of Marwar led to their rebellion. And even you can say that some of the campaigns against the Maratha, okay, campaign against the Maratha chieftain Shivaji were initially successful. Campaign against whom? Maratha chieftain के जो शिवाजी थे उनके खिलाफ जो कैंपेन स्टार्ट हुआ औरंगजेब के टाइम पीरियड में बहुत इनिशियली सक्सेसफुल हुआ. बट औरंगजेब इंसल्टेड शिवाजी who escaped from Agra. Who insulted? औरंगजेब. किसकी इंसल्ट की बेटा? औरंगजेब ने शिवाजी की बहुत इंसल्ट की. ओके, बट औरंगजेब इंसल्टेड शिवाजी who escaped from Agra and declared himself an independent king. Who declared? Aurangzeb declared himself an independent king and resumed his campaign against the Mughals. Okay, now Prince Akbar rebelled against Aurangzeb. Now again the next one, who? Prince जो अकबर थे. Yes, Prince Akbar rebelled against Aurangzeb and received support from the Marathas and the Deccan Sultanate. From whom to whom Prince Akbar? Yes, from प्रिंस अकबर ने जो सपोर्ट रेबेल करना स्टार्ट करा अपने ही फादर के खिलाफ, औरंगजेब के खिलाफ. उनको कहाँ से सपोर्ट मिला? उनको सपोर्ट मिला मराठास एंड डेक्कन सल्तनत. एंड ही फाइनली फ्लेड टू सफाविद ईरान. ठीक है. देन आफ्टर दिस व्हाट हैपेंड? ओके, नाउ वी विल टॉक अबाउट द मुगल ट्रेडिशन ऑफ secession. Okay, now students just look at here. We will talk about the Mughal. So the Mughal did not believe in the rule of primogeniture. Okay, so primogeniture means the right of succession belonging to the firstborn child. Which child? Firstborn child. It means the eldest son. Okay, they did not believe that the eldest son will get the whole empire after the death of the sultan. Okay, so where the eldest son inherited his father's estate. So instead of primogeniture, they followed. Which thing the Mughal followed? Yes, instead they followed the Mughal and Timurid custom of coparcenary. Coparcenary inheritance or a division of the inheritance amongst all the sons. It means coparcenary means beta three lineage descendants, just like son, grandson and great son. Okay, they will all equally, okay, they will take care of the empire. So instead of this thing that elder son will get the whole empire, they followed which thing? Coparcenary inheritance. So according to the coparcenary inheritance, among the all son, okay, the whole empire divided into equally. So even you can say that some of the evidence and records also show the rebellion. Okay, as you can all of you know about the historians. So historians also got some evidence also and records of that Mughal time and which shows the rebellion by the Mughal princes for the throne. Okay. Now we will discuss Mughal relation with other rulers. Okay, so if we talk about the table 1, which we have already learned about the Mughal emperors, okay, major campaigns and events. So we will also notice that the Mughal rulers campaigned continuously against rulers, okay, who refused to accept their authority. जो मुगल कैंपेन्स थे वो कंटिन्यूस चल रहे थे. अगेंस्ट whom? अगेंस्ट दोज रूलर हु रिफ्यूज टू एक्सेप्ट द मुगल अथॉरिटी. जो मना कर रहे थे कि हम मुगल की जो अथॉरिटी है हम उसको एक्सेप्ट नहीं करेंगे. But as the Mughal became powerful, okay, that time after many campaigns, after many battles, okay, who became powerful? The Mughals. Okay, so when the Mughal became powerful, many other rulers also joined them voluntarily. Some of the rulers also joined them voluntarily without any argument and all, without any battle and without any fight. तो उन्होंने अपना आप ही अपनी मर्जी से मुगल्स को ज्वाइन कर लिया. So because of this, the Rajput are a good example of this. Who? Yes, Rajputs are a good example of this, because when the Mughals became powerful, they joined them voluntarily. Okay, so many of them even so many of them married their daughters also. Many of Rajputs married their daughters also into Mughal families. Okay, and received high position. So, but many resisted as well. Just look at here. So here, as you can see, the mother of Jahangir. If we talk about the mother of the Jahangir, so she was a Kachwa princess. Okay, which princess? Yes, Kachwaha princess. Sorry. So the mother of Jahangir was a Kachwaha princess, and she was a daughter of the Rajput ruler of Amber, modern day Jaipur. So who was mother of Jahangir? She was a princess, and which princess? Yes, Kachwaha princess, and daughter of the Rajput and ruler of modern day Jaipur. The mother of even Shah Jahan also. If we talk about the mother of Shah Jahan, so the mother of Shah Jahan also, she was a Rathore princess. Okay, and she was also a daughter of the Rajput ruler of Marwa, Jodhpur. So now you got it. So some Rajput are good example for this, who joined Mughal voluntary. So these are the two examples, mother of Jahangir and the mother of Shah Jahan. After this, student, but if we talk about the Sisodia Rajputs, who? Yes, but if we talk about the Sisodia's Rajput of Mewar, refused to accept Mughal authority for a long time. सिसोदिया जो राजपूत थे उन्होंने साफ मना कर दिया. ओके, सिसोदिया राजपूत फ्रॉम वेयर? सिसोदिया राजपूत ऑफ मेवाड़. बट दे उन्होंने बिल्कुल रिफ्यूज कर दिया दैट दे विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट द मुगल अथॉरिटी. ओके, बट वंस डिफीटेड अगेन battle and fight and all. Okay, so once defeated, however, they were honorably treated by the Mughals. Okay, who? Sisodia Rajput were treated by honorably treated by the Mughals. So Mughals ने क्या किया? Okay, they were honorably treated by the Mughals, given their land वतन back. उन्होंने उनका ही जो land था, okay, वो उन्हें वापस दे दिया. एंड असेसमेंट वतन जागीर उन्होंने कहा. ठीक है, कि उनको उनके ऊपर उन्होंने रूल करने के बाद उनको इंसल्ट नहीं किया. ओके, उनको ऑनरेबली ट्रीटेड करने के बाद उनको गिवन देयर लैंड वतन बैक एज असेसमेंट वतन जागीर. बट दैट दोज लैंड ऑफ हुम? यस, मुगल्स. Okay, so the careful balance between defeating but not humiliating. Which balance is must? Yes, defeating but not humiliating their which one? Opponents. Okay, so opponents which thing enable the Mughal to extend their influence over many kings and chieftains. Opponents means beta a person who disagrees with someone's action. So as you all of you know about, in table 1 we have already read this thing. Aurangzeb insulted. Who insulted? Yes, Aurangzeb insulted Shivaji when he came to accept Mughal authority. Yes, so Shivaji, Aurangzeb insulted Shivaji, who escaped from Agra and declared himself as independent king and resumed his campaign against the Mughals. That time all of you know about, when the Shivaji came to accept Mughal authority. So for this, fine. So now the questions, next thing. Okay, what about the Mansabdars and Jagirdars? Okay, so first we will talk about the Mansabdar. So as the Mughal expanded to encompass different regions, the Mughal recruited diverse body of the people. So that time when the Mughal expansions expanded, okay, जैसे जैसे मुगल का जो expansion था वो expand होने लगा, now they started recruiting different people. Why they started recruiting different people? Because to take care of their empire. Yes, because to take care of their empire. If we talk about the first thing, okay, that time they only appointed Turkish nobles. Okay, Turanis, they expanded. Okay, just like Turanis, they expanded. But after this, okay, they expanded, they include others also, just like which one? Yes, Iranians. Okay, then Indians also, then Muslims also, then Afghans, then Rajputs, okay, and Marathas and even other groups also. पहले तो जो उनके nobles होते थे, they belong only from where? From Turkish nobles. It means Turanis. But after the expansion, okay, whenever so they include others also, just like which one? Yes, Iranians. Okay, then Indian, Muslim, Afghans, Rajput, Marathas and other groups. Those who joined Mughal service were enrolled as Mansabdar. So here the word come here. What do you understand by Mansabdar? Those, okay, who joined Mughal service. जो भी Mughal service को join करते थे, they were enrolled as Mansabdar. So as we all of you know about, the term Mansabdar referred to an individual. Okay, it refers to which thing? Yet it refers to an individual who holds a mansab or meaning a position or rank. So what the meaning here? It was a grading system used by the Mughal. Which system? Grading system. Just take an example of your class. Okay. Grading system. First position student, second position student, third position student. So same thing about the which thing? Yes, grading system. So the term Mansabdar refers to an individual who holds a mansab, meaning a position, okay, position or a rank. So it was a grading system. So fixed by whom? Okay, used by whom? Mughals. Okay, the first one, rank, which is the first one, then rank, then the second one, salary, and the third one is military responsibility. Okay, got it? The first one is rank, the second one is salary, and the third one is military responsibilities. So rank and salary were determined by a numeral value. Okay, first we will talk about the rank and salary. So jo rank or salary, it were determined by which thing? Numeral value, and it is called Zat. Okay, so same, the higher the Zat, the more prestigious was the noble's position in the court and the larger his salary. Okay, just like example also student, Jat ranking, as you can see, nobles with a Jat of 5,000. Okay, just take an example. So nobles with a Jat of 5,000 were ranked higher than those of 1,000. जिसकी Jat 5,000 है, वो किससे higher है? वो आपका higher रहेगा जिसकी 1,000 है. Okay, so in Akbar's reign, if we talk about, so if you must know about it, Jat ranking, as you all of you know, nobles with a Jat of 5,000 were ranked higher than those of 1,000. जिसकी 5,000 जात होगी वो किसकी ज़्यादा है, किसका रैंक ज़्यादा है? 5,000 वाले का. किसके कंपैरिजन में? जिसका 1,000 है. ओके, इफ वी टॉक अबाउट द इन अकबर्स रेन, देयर वर 29 mansabdars. हाउ मेनी mansabdar in Akbar reign? Yes, you must know about 29. Okay, how many? 29 mansabdar, rank of 5,000. Okay, but by the Aurangzeb reign, the number of mansabdar has increased. औरंगजेब के रेन के टाइम पे मनसबदार जो है और इंक्रीज हो गए 29 to how many? 79. Just look at the difference between 29 and 79. So would this have meant more expenditure for the state? Yes, औरंगजेब जो है ज़्यादा एक्सपेंडिचर ज़्यादा एक्सपेंस करते. The Mansabdar military responsibility. Okay, now what about the Mansabdar military responsibility? अब उनकी responsibility क्या होती थी? So the Mansabdar military responsibility required him to maintain a specific number of सवार और cavalry men. उनको एक specific number of जो उनके सवार थे, cavalry men थे, उनको पूरा maintain करके रखना पड़ता था. Okay, so the Mansabdar brought his cavalry men for review, got them registered. उनको registered, and what about their horses? Branded, and then receive money to pay them as salary. What they receive? They receive the money, okay, which thing? To pay them as salary. Even Mansabdar also received their salaries. Who received? Yes, Mansabdar. Okay, so the Mansabdar also received their salary as revenue assignment called Jagir. Here the new word come. What do you understand by the Jagir? Jagirs, यस. सो जागीर, व्हाट डू यू अंडरस्टैंड बाय जागीर? जो मनसबदार थे अपनी सैलरी रिसीव करते थे रेवेन्यू असाइनमेंट के तौर पे. सो इट वॉज कॉल्ड जागीर. Which were somewhat like इक्ताज, just like we have already studied about the इक्ताज ना, कि हमने इक्ताज भी रीड किया था, जो मुक्तीस थे. So but unlike मुक्तीस, most mansabdar did not actually reside in or administrate their jagir. They only had to write. What the rights? Only that they only write to the revenue of their assessment, then which was collected for them by their servant. Okay, उनका क्या right था? They had to revenue. They only had right to revenue of their assignment, which was collected for them by their servant. Okay. While mansabdar themselves served in some other part of the country. So, student, now let's come here. We will talk about the Akbar reign. Okay. So, in Akbar reign, these jagir were carefully, जो जागीर थी, ठीक है. सो इन अकबर रेन दीज जागीर वर केयरफुली असिस्ट सो दैट देयर रेवेन्यू वर रफली इक्वल टू द सैलरी ऑफ द मनसबदार, कि उनकी जो सैलरी है वो जो रफली हो, किसके इक्वल हो? जो मनसबदार की. बाय औरंगजेब रेन देयर वॉज नो लॉन्गर द केस. Okay, the actual revenue collected was often less than the granted sum. जो actual revenue था बेटा औरंगजेब रेन के टाइम पे वो कम कलेक्ट हो रहा था. सो देयर वॉज ऑल्सो ह्यूज इंक्रीज इन द नंबर ऑफ मनसबदार. बट वी हैव ऑलरेडी नो अबाउट कि मनसबदार इंक्रीज हो रहे थे, 79 हो गए थे, तो उनकी सैलरी ज़्यादा, विच मीन अ लॉन्ग वेट बिफोर दे रिसीव अ जागीर. दीज एंड अदर फैक्टर्स क्रिएटेड अ शॉर्टेज इन द नंबर ऑफ जागीर. अब इस वजह से, क्योंकि उनको जो था मनसबदार इंक्रीज हो रहे थे, रेवेन्यू जो है कम रिसीव हो रहा था, तो वो शॉर्टेज होने लगी. एज अ रिजल्ट मैनी जागीर्स ट्राइड टू एक्सेप्ट एज मच रेवेन्यू एज पॉसिबल वाइल दे हैड अ जागीर. तो इसलिए जो जागीर बचे थे अब वो यही चाहते थे कि उनको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा रिसीव हो जो उनके पास है. Aurangzeb was unable to control these developments in the last year of his reign, and the peasantry therefore suffered tremendously. अब that's why बहुत ही औरंगजेब कंट्रोल नहीं कर पाए, तो इस वजह से जो peasantry थे, farmers थे that time, उन्हें ज़ब्त and ज़मींदार. Okay, so let's understand the meaning of the ज़ब्त and ज़मींदार. So that time in Mughal Empire, the main source of income available to Mughal ruler was tax on the produce of the peasantry. It means the main source, okay, of the Mughal Empire. Which thing? Yes, tax. They received the tax from whom? From the peasants. Okay. So in most places, peasant paid taxes through the rural elites, that is the headman or the local chieftain. Actually that time it was a chain. Okay, tax paid by the peasant to the headman or local chieftain. So the Mughal used one term, zamindar. अब जो वो लोग थे peasant से, वो टैक्स देते थे, या तो वो हेडमैन को देते थे या लोकल शेफ्टियंस को देते थे, जिसके थ्रू वो टैक्स कलेक्ट करके वो मुगल एम्पायर को सबमिट करते थे. सो जो भी दोज हु कलेक्टेड, ओके, विच थिंग, दोज एनी पर्सन हु कलेक्टेड टैक्स फ्रॉम द पीजेंट्स, इट वाज नोन एज द विच थिंग, जमींदार. ओके, सो जमींदार टू डिस्क्राइब ऑल इंटरमीडिएटरीज, ऑल whether they were local headmen or village or powerful chieftain. जो भी थे बेटा, या तो वो local headmen थे या village of, जो local headmen थे village के powerful chieftain थे, जो भी tax collect करते थे, it was known as at that time zamindar. Okay, so Akbar revenue minister Todarmal, who was the Akbar revenue minister that time? Yes, Todarmal carried out a careful survey of crop yield. Yes, Todarmal carried out one careful survey of crop yield. It means to produce or provide crops. Okay, so prices and areas cultivated for a 10-year period. Yes, he carried out one survey. Okay, just look at actually, just think this is a piece of land and divided into 4. So how much crop is cultivated a particular area, then how much this. A careful survey was carried out by whom? By Todor Mull. Okay, so prices also, area cultivated for how many years? Yes, 10-year period from 1570 to 1580. So on the basis of the data, tax was fixed on each crop in cash. अब देखिए, just look at thing कि आपकी wheat हो रही है, यहाँ cultivate हो रहा है, तो उसमें कितना आपका result आ रहा है, कितनी crop cultivate हो रही है, तो tax was fixed according to this thing. And here if the rice, so this thing depend upon. So each province was divided into revenue circle with its own schedule of revenue rate for individual crop. Okay, वैसे ही divide कर दिया गया, revenue different. Okay, so this revenue system was known as Zabt. Got it? Which revenue system? Yes, this revenue system was known as Zabt. For everyone, what do you understand by Zabt? Yes, land revenue system. So Zabt was a land revenue system that was framed during the Mughal period. Okay, and this system include taking a careful survey, as I have already told you, careful survey of crop yield and prices cultivated for a 10-year period. On this basis, tax was fixed on each crop in cash. So after this, student, you can say that this was not possible in provinces such as Gujarat and Bengal. Okay, so some areas also that time were not possible, that survey. So which one? Yes, just like Gujarat and Bengal. In some areas, the zamindar exercised a great deal of power, and the exploitation by Mughal administrator could drive them to rebellion. In some places exploitation ज़्यादा होता था, तो rebellion भी हो जाता था. Okay, and even sometimes zamindar and peasants of the same caste allied in the rebelling against Mughal authority. Okay, they also rebelled against whom thing? Yes, against the Mughal authority due to some exploitation and all. These peasants' revolt challenged the stability of the Mughal Empire from the end of the 17th century. Which century? Yes, कि 17th century कि बहुत से जो peasant थे उन्होंने revolt करा against whom? Against the Mughal Empire. Now after this, student, just look at here. We will talk about the one important thing about Akbarnama and Aine Akbari. Okay, which thing now we will discuss? We will discuss about the Akbarnama and Aine Akbari. So Akbar offered one of his close friend and courtiers, Abul Fazl. So Abul Fazl was one person, okay, and he was close friend to Akbar also, and उनके कोर्ट में भी थे वो. तो अकबर ने ऑर्डर किया to write a history of his reign. Okay, that Abul Fazl, you have to write one history of my reign. So Akbar ordered to his one close friend Abul Fazl. So after this, Abul Fazl wrote a 3-volume history of Akbar reign. How many volume history he wrote? Abul Fazl? Yes, Abul Fazl wrote a 3-volume history titled Akbarnama. Okay, how many volume history? So Abul Fazl wrote a 3-volume history of Akbar reign. उन्होंने उनके time period की एक 3-volume history लिखी. And what was the title? Yes, title Akbarnama. So just Akbarnama, and yes, see, the first one you can say that about the first volume dealt with Akbar ancestor. Akbar ancestor means उनकी पूर्वज, just like Babur, okay, Humayun, then Temrud and all. So, and what about the second volume? Okay, second volume recorded the events of Akbar reign, कि उनके कौन कौन से events थे. And the third volume is the Aine Akbari. Which thing? Yes, and the third volume is the Aine Akbari. Okay, and it deals with Akbar's administration, household, army, and the revenue and the geography of his empire. Is it clear for everyone, student? So who wrote Akbarnama first of all? Abul Fazl. Okay, because Akbar ordered. And what about? Yes, it dealt with 3. Yes, which thing? Yes, 3-volume history. The first one dealt with the Akbar ancestor, and the second volume recorded the events of the Akbar reign, and the third volume is the Ain-e-Akbari, which is the third volume. This is also important, student. The third one is Ain-e-Akbari, and it deals with things. Yes, Ain-e-Akbari dealt with Akbar administration, household, army, the revenue, and the geography of his empire. And Ain-e-Akbari also provide rich details about the tradition and culture of the people living in India. That time, Ain-e-Akbari also provide just like about the people. Okay, people who living in the India, about the tradition and culture. So the most interesting aspect about the Ain-e-Akbari is its rich statistical details about things like diverse its crop. Okay, other things also details written there. Okay, which yes, just like crop, yields, prices, wages, and revenue. Here, as you can see in this picture also, here as you can see, Akbar receiving the Akbarnama from Abul Fazl. Here as you can see, Akbarnama. Okay, so Akbar is here, and what about the Abul Fazl? Okay, so Akbarnama जो है ये Akbar receive कर रहे हैं from whom? From Abul Fazl. Now students, just look at here. Okay, so a closer look about Akbar's policy. Now look at here. So here you can see, so if we talk about the broad feature of administration, okay, as you all if you know about Abul Fazl. So Abul Fazl wrote 3-volume book, history book of Akbar reign titled Akbarnama, where in the third one, okay, which one? The third volume is the Ain-e-Akbari, and it deals with the Akbar's administration, household, army, the revenue, and the geography his empire. So Abul Fazl in his book elaborately discussed where the Akbarnama. Which one? Yes, Akbarnama. In particular, in its last volume, the Ain-e-Akbari. So Abul Fazl explained that. What the Abul Fazl explained? Abul Fazl explained that the empire was divided into provinces called Subas. Now just look at here, student. If as you all if you know about, if we talk about our country India, it is divided into 28 states. Okay, as you all if you know that. So same thing about the Mughal Empire. The whole empire was divided into different, okay, which thing? Yes, provinces, different provinces, and each province called Subas. What it called? Yes, Subas. Got it? So Abul Fazl explained that empire was divided into provinces and called Subas, and governed by whom? Governed by Subedar. Is it clear? So Subedar who carried out both political and military function. So Subedar that time he had a responsibility to carry out the both political and military function of the Mughal Empire. Each province also had a finance officer also, or Diwan. Just as today we have financial minister also and all ना, तो तब भी बेटा वही होता था कि जो each province था, जो each divide किया गया था, उनका एक finance minister और finance officer होता था, और it was also known as the Diwan. Then for the maintenance of peace and order in his province, अपनी उसमें maintain करने के लिए, for which thing? Peace and order. The Subedar was supported by other officers also. Which things? Yes, the Subedar क्या होता था? Supported by other officers also, such as the military paymaster. And what about the military paymaster? Bakshi. What it was known as that time? Yes, Bakshi. The minister in charge of religious. Now we will talk कि जो आपके to maintain the which thing? Yes, peace and order. जो उनको help करता था paymaster Bakshi. And what about the minister in charge of religious and charitable patronage? Sadr. Which one? Sadr. Okay. And what about the military commanders? Faujhdars. What about the military commanders? Yes, Faujhdar. And town police commander? Kotwal. Is it clear for everyone? Okay. Which term used? Okay. Sadr for in charge of religious and charitable patronage. And what about the Faujdar, military commanders? And what about the Kotwal? Yes, town police commander. If you talk about the Akbar nobles commanded large armies and had access to large amounts of revenue. While they were loyal, the empire functioned efficiently, but by the end of the 17th century, many nobles had built independent network of their own. Their loyalties to the empire were weakened by their own self-interest. इट मीन्स अगर हम बात करें बेटा स्टार्टिंग के टाइम पे, तो जो अकबर के सारे नोबल्स थे, ओके, वो अच्छे से वर्क करते थे फॉर अकबर, बट एट द टाइम गोइंग ऑन, बट जैसे जैसे टाइम जाने लगा, बट दे डिड, ओके, सो अकबर्स नोबल जो कमांडेड थे, जो लार्ज आर्मीज थे, वो अच्छे से रेवेन्यू नॉन कलेक्ट करते थे, बट जैसे जैसे एट द एंड ऑफ द 17th सेंचुरी मैनी नोबल्स हैड बिल्ट इंडिपेंडेंट नेटवर्क्स ऑफ देयर ओन, उन्होंने अपने नेटवर्क्स बना लिए और जो उनकी लॉयल्टीज थी उन्होंने वीक कर दिया, किसको? अकबर की एम्पायर को, ओके. सो वाइल अकबर वॉज एट फतेहपुर सीकरी, while Akbar was at Fatehpur Sikri during the 1570, he started discussions on religion with the ulama, Brahmins, Jesuit priests, okay, who were Roman Catholics and Zoroastrians. It means कि वो जब अकबर थे from where? In Fatehpur Sikri, and when which year? During this 1570, Akbar started discussion on different religion also, with the whom with the ulama, Brahmins, okay, Jesuit priests who were Roman Catholics and Zoroastrians also. So these discussion took place in the Ibadat Khana, okay, जो discuss होता था फतेहपुर सीकरी में, where? Yes, in the Ibadat Khana. Okay, he was interested in the religion and social customs of different people. That time Akbar was very interested. Where? Yes, religion and social customs of different people, different cultures and tradition and custom. Even Akbar's interaction with people of different faith made him realize that religious scholars also who emphasized ritual and dogma were often bigots. So dogma means a statement or an interpretation declared as authoritative with the expectation that it would be followed without question. It means you have to follow the rule and all without asking the question. Okay, बस आपको follow करना है, you cannot ask any question. And what about the bigot? An individual who is intolerant of another person's religious beliefs or culture, कि डाउन करते थे कि your religious is not good, your religion is very down, like this. So their teaching created divisions. Whose teaching? Yes, you can say that Akbar's teaching. Akbar teaching created divisions and disharmony against his subject. This eventually led Akbar to the which thing? Idea of Sule-Kul. Okay, this is also very important, student. Sule-Kul means universal peace. What is the meaning of the Sule-Kul? Yes, Sule-Kul means universal peace. Okay, this idea of tolerance did not discriminate between people of different religion in his realm. It means no one can discriminate between the people according to their religion. Okay, all are equal according to this universal peace. Instead, it focused on a system of ethics, honesty, कि we will focus on other system also, just like हम कैसे रहेंगे, अकबर जो मानते थे, honestly, justice, peace, and that was universally applicable. Okay, even Abul Fazl also, who helped the Akbar? Yes, Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl helped Akbar in framing a vision of governance अराउंड दिस आइडिया ऑफ Sule-Kul, क्योंकि वो चाहते थे कि Sule-Kul रहे, यूनिवर्सल पीस रहे और अच्छे से हॉनेस्टी पे हम चले, जस्टिस करें, पीस करें. सो हु हेल्प अबाउट दिस थिंग? Abul Fazl. Abul Fazl helped to whom? Helped the Akbar in framing a vision of governance around this idea of Sulukul. This principle of governance was followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan as well. Okay, here as you can see in this picture also, students. So here as you can see in this picture, Akbar holding discussions with learned individuals of different faith in the Ibadat Khana. Where? Yes, Ibadat Khana.